Hello, my name is Brittany and welcome to Family Fridays Paint Night. A few words before we begin. Thank you for your continued interest and support for this workshop. You can expect a new video every third Friday of the month for the foreseeable future until we can resume classes in person at the Art and Spirituality Center. Speaking of which, there are other classes being held virtually if you are interested in taking any of those. I'll leave the link to our virtual calendar in the description box below. As a reminder, my class was made to promote bonding between family and friends. You do not need to be an artist to enjoy art. My art isn't perfect, so don't think yours needs to be either. To all those participating in this activity, I want you to try your best and don't worry about the outcome. My hope is for you to let go, get lost in the artistic process, and forget about what's currently happening in the world, even just for a little bit. One last thing before we begin. Feel free to pause, rewind, fast forward, mute, or do anything you need in order to follow along with this video. I normally take over 3 hours to complete a painting, even though my class runs about 2.5 hours. For the sake of time and to make a short video, the clips you see of me painting are sped up significantly. Please, by all means, relax and take your time. I hope you enjoy. Let's get started. Here is what we will be painting for December of 2021. Disclaimer, this is not my original artwork as I found it somewhere on the internet. I do not take credit for this concept and I wish I could find the original artist to give credit. Think of this as a study of the original artwork. Christmas is just around the corner and to get in the holiday spirit, here we have a snow globe. Inside is a snowman surrounded by Christmas trees displayed in front of a snowy background. Feel free to take artistic control, change the colors, make additions or adjustments, or change it up completely. The choice is yours. Alright, let's talk about paint. We'll be using acrylic paint for this activity. You can use the fancier, more expensive paints if you want to. For this project, I'll be using paints you can find at your local craft store or even Walmart that are less than $1. We'll need a few colors: red, orange, green, blue, black, and white. We'll need a few brushes today: a large flat brush, a medium flat brush, a medium round brush, a small flat brush, and a thin detail brush. Some other materials we will need: something to put under the canvas or canvas board, such as a tablecloth or newspaper. You can also use a mat board like this one I've used several times. Of course, you'll need something to paint on. I personally will be using a canvas board, 12 by 16 specifically. You can also use an actual canvas of any size as well. Then we have our paints. You'll need a plate to put the paint on. You can also use a palette if you have one, a water cup to clean your paintbrushes, and lastly, a paper towel or an old towel. I'm using an old towel that I have used for other paintings, as you can see here. Okay, order of operations, how this painting will go. First, we'll start with the background, going from a nice fade from blue to white. Then we will make a circle for the snow globe. I traced a circle so it would be as perfect as possible. Then we will do the stand for the snow globe, so 2 slanted lines, and then probably from an inch from the bottom of the canvas. Next, we will draw 3 circles for the berries, and then we will draw the leaves on the left and the right side. Then we will do our shadow from the snow globe. Next, we will work on the snow inside the snow globe. Then we will do the mountains, painting in the blue and then the snow. Then we will make lines for the trees, and then all of the little greenery from the trees. Then red polka dots for the ornaments. Then we will paint 3 balls for the snowman and all of its little details. We will paint the base, paint the berries and the leaves. Then we will do the shadow for the snow globe and the little highlight on the snow globe. Then we will trace the outline of the snow globe, then do the highlights for the glass. Then we will add some dots for the snow outside and inside, and then the stars. Okay, so let us begin. First, I am going to pour out some blue and white. You can use a navy blue if you want to, or just a regular blue and add black if you want it to be darker on top. I'm just going to use a standard blue, and then we'll fade to a lighter blue and then white. So I'm going to start with the top, just my regular blue, then going down to the white. This is just a personal thing that I like to do. I like to paint the edges of the canvas. This is just a canvas board, so it doesn't really have too much space that I need to cover. But if you are doing a canvas, an actual canvas, there's like at least half an inch to an inch of space on the side. So I like to wrap my painting around that. You don't have to, you can just leave it white, or you can paint it black, you can do whatever you want. So right now we are just going to work on our nice little fade from blue to white. Doesn't have to be perfect, we're mainly going to cover it up anyways, but just try your best. Okay, next we are going to trace out a circle for the snow globe. You can freehand it if you want. I am not that skilled in tracing circles, so I got, I got a color wheel that was the perfect size of what I need for the circle of the snow globe. So with my Sharpie, I'm just going to very carefully center it and just trace around it. Keep in mind though, at the very end, these lines might be covered up a little bit, so I will paint it again in just regular acrylic paint. If you were to do a gloss over this where you have to brush on that clear solution, that might smudge the whatever that gloss is made out of, plus the material of the Sharpie. It might cause it to bleed a little bit, so just keep that in mind. So now I am just working on the stand. So kind of looks like a crystal ball a little bit, but it's just a snow globe. So coming off from the bottom, I'm just going to do 2 semi-slanted lines, and then the base of it, the very bottom, is just floating about 1.5 inches or 2 inches from the bottom of the canvas. Then on either side, I am drawing 3 balls for the holly berries, and then leaves to go along with it. Kind of looks like the shape of the bat wings that we kind of did for one of our Halloween paintings. So just like a little M right here, and then on the bottom looks like a W. You can do as many leaves as you want to, but just going from the reference picture, I'm just going to do 2 leaves on each side. Okay, next we are going to work on the shadow that is coming off from the snow globe. It's kind of slanting to the right side. So I'm gonna go in with like a light-ish blue, not the complete dark blue, but there will be some white in there. And then I'm just gonna do a little shadow to the right. I am gonna try to blend it in with the snow as much as possible. So like the white faded part from the blue to the white that we did from top to bottom. Trying to blend that in here just a little bit. I was trying to figure out how I wanted to do the shadow, so it was a little bit of trial and error, so don't freak out if you can't get it on the first time. I did do a nice little blend right here and I was kind of okay with it, but then I needed to move it over just a little bit more. So I went in with the blue and tried to do it again. And then I looked at the reference picture and it wasn't so much a gradual fade. It was kind of like a line, a little more solid than just a regular fade. So I kind of just brushed a little line to go along with it. And that kind of like erased some of it, but it made the line cleaner. So you do it however you want it. You don't have to add the shadow if you don't want to. If you don't like it, it's just paint and you can paint right over it, so it'll be just fine. So to be honest, I think this was probably the most challenging part, and it was just a little shadow. It's not even that noticeable on the painting. So yeah, right here I'm just like shaving away all that extra blendiness I did, so it's a nice clean shadow. And then after that we'll work on the snow, and the snow was just a bunch of little hills with white and blue for shadows, so that'll be fun. And that might be one of the things that takes most of the time, so we'll get on that very soon. Alright, so now we're going to work on the contents inside of the snow globe. So we're trying to fill the snow globe in, or we're trying to fill it up as much as possible. So the snow that I'm doing right now is basically going to fill up half of the snow globe, if not maybe a little bit more. Like with the mountains, it'll look pretty full in the trees. So basically we're just going to do some hills of snow. So you can't really do like white, to differentiate the hills, instead of doing something like black, we're just going to use the blue. So a lot of this painting is just blue and white. So right here I just did a basic layer of white, so it was a little transparent, and to make it look like there's a lot of snow and that's where the sun is hitting the most. That's where my brighter white is going to be, so more white on top. So you see that like middle hill right there, there's a little bit of blue. That is the shadow, so that means that is in the background, and all the bright snow, it's in the foreground. So background is darker, foreground is brighter and whiter. So you can do as many hills as you want to. I think I did about 1, 2, 3, 4, and my hills are just going back and forth. So there's one going to the right, then to the left, then to the right, then to the left again. So you can do it as much as you want to. You could just do 1 hill, 2 hills, just no hills at all. I just wanted to give it a little bit more of depth and dimension, because we will be adding in 3 trees, and they're different sizes, so that's to indicate some are in the background compared to closer to us. So just try your best. Again, bright snow up on top, and then once the shadows get to where the hills are in front of each other, that's where you're going to add the shadows. So try your best, and we will check back in when we are ready to do the mountains. We made it, yay! Hope that wasn't so bad. So now we are going to work on the mountains that are behind the snow. So we could have done the mountains before, but the mountains are so dark. If we were to go out of our lines, we would have to paint over that, and white is so translucent, we would have to do multiple layers to cover up what we don't want to be seen from the mountain. So we'll just do the snow first and the mountains. So right now I'm just going to do 5. I just did the tops of triangles basically. Not necessarily connecting them all the way to the bottom. Some in front of each other and some behind each other. So I mixed in some black with my blue to just make it, the outline at least, as dark as possible. Then I went in with slightly lighter blue, or maybe just a regular blue, and then I painted it in, and now I'm just trying to make it just a little bit darker again. And then once that is dry, we'll add the snow. So I'm just going back and forth between the darker blue and the lighter blue just to get it how I want it. Mountains aren't necessarily one solid color. There's ridges and different things that protrude from the mountain, so they're supposed to look a little rough, a little bumpy. So that's what I'm trying to reflect in the colors that I'm doing. So the ones in the foreground, I'm trying to do a different color than the ones in the background, just to differentiate that there are a few mountains there. So we're going to let those dry, and then we'll move on to the snow. So right here, my mountains are dry already. I probably went off camera and dried them. So with my small flat brush, my small flat brush, I'm getting some white and I'm just going along the peaks of the mountains. So you can do it solid if you want to. You can make it look wavy. I'm just kind of doing down strokes and trying to just make it look a little streaky, to be honest, like some mountain has been falling from, or some snow has been falling from the peaks of the mountain. So you can do it however you want, and we're going to do that on all 5 of the mountains. Okay, so I was trying to be as careful as possible, but I did go outside of my lines and I painted over my snow. So now I am just putting the snow back that I lost. So I'm actually going to go a little bit higher than what my original painting was. And I'm going to do that on this right little mound, and then same on the left. My mountains I felt like were showing a little bit too much, and I wanted the focus to mainly be on the snow, so I'm just putting a little bit of snow back. And then after that, we will work on the trees. Okay, so now we are going to work on our Christmas trees. So I'm going to just do 3 straight lines up and down. So the one on the right, that went into the mound that was closer to the foreground on our right side. Then the one on the left was our further mound in the background on the left. And then this one is going to be put right into our little hill on the left side. So the second one. So I'm just doing this in black. Originally, I thought I was going to do the trunks of the trees in brown and also the snowman's arms in brown, but I just didn't feel like adding another color, so I'm just using black. You can do it brown if you want to. So now with my, you can either use your thin detail brush or your medium flat brush. We're going to do the trees. So first I'm going in with my green, And I'm basically doing some angled down strokes. So from the center of the line and then going down, we're going to do a couple of different layers just to give it some dimension. So first I'm just basically kind of mapping out how far out I want the trees to go. I don't want it to be covering the whole snow globe or anything. We still have to make room for our snowman. So I'm doing that first with the tree in the background, the smallest tree, then the one on the left, then the one on the right. So right here you can definitely see all those little brush strokes. So first we're going to go in with this basic green color, and then we're going to let that dry. And then I'm going to do the same thing, not as many brush strokes because I still want to see the green, but I'm going to do it in black next. So that's just to give it a little bit of shadow. See right here, yeah, a little bit of shadow that the leaves go deep, like the greenery is like really deep in there. So it's just going to fill it up more, basically. So first we did green, then we're doing black, and then we're going to go back in with green again. So it's just going to give it, again, just a little bit of dimension. Okay, and after that third layer dries, so we went green, black, green, we're going to go in now with white. And the white is to give the illusion that snow has fallen on the trees. So same thing with the white, just not as many brush strokes. So we're trying to just get it a little bit on the branches. This might require you to do a couple layers. So this one is very light, and then this next one, the white is more prominent. It is a little bit more solid. So go ahead and add the snow on top of your trees. Okay, and to finish up the Christmas trees, I'm just going to add little red dots, and that's going to be Christmas ornaments. I'm just getting the back side of one of my paintbrushes and dipping it in the red and just making a bunch of little dots. If you want to, you can make all of these dots different colors so it looks like Christmas lights on top of the trees, but I'm pretending that these are just red Christmas ornaments. And now we are going to work on the snowman. So first I'm going to paint 3 large circles. So that's the 3 snowballs that makes up the snowman. So first I'm going to do the bottom one, which is going to be the largest one, followed by a medium-sized one, and then a small one on top. This may require a few layers, so right now I'm just going to paint my snowman. I do apologize, in person I'm able to see the white paint a lot better than what you can see on camera, but it is there, and we will outline a part of these with blue, so we will see the different snowballs, the different layers. So just trust the process, and we will do the details right after this. So right now we are just doing the snow of the snowman. so just as I was mentioning before, now we are going to kind of differentiate these layers of the snowman. So I mixed in a kind of a light blue, just basically that blue with a little bit of white. And first I'm going to start with that top snowball for the head. And I'm not going to trace it all the way to make complete circles, but basically half circles. So a little bit, it kind of looks like a C, and then a C, and then a C. So right now we're just going to do that. All right, now we're going to work on the scarf. So I'm kind of going to follow the shape of that top circle, that top snowball, and just do a nice thick layer for the scarf part that goes around the neck, and then two kind of curved rectangles for the two sides of the scarf, and then at the very bottom we will do the fringe. So it kind of looks like a necklace with some of the ends of the scarf. And then right here I'm just going back in with white to make the circle circular again. Next, with my thin detail brush, I am going in with black, and we're going to do the top hat. So you can do a beanie, you can do earmuffs, you can do whatever you want, but I'm just going off of the reference picture, and we are going to do a top hat. So right now, the top of that circle, I'm just going to make a thick line for the brim of the hat, and then a nice little square on top for that top part of the hat. And you can add more details if you want, like a bow or a ribbon or feather. You can do whatever you want with that top hat, but I'm just making it black. Now we are going to do the little details of the snowman's face. So I'm pouring out a little bit of orange, and I'm just going to do the tiniest little long triangle that is going to kind of face the left side, kind of droop down a little bit, kind of like he's looking down. And then I'm going to do the arms, so going in with the black paint and just doing little twigs, just basically little Y shapes. And then I needed a small point to do all of these little dots for the mouth, so I got the end of my mechanical pencil and did the smile. And then I did the same thing with the eyes and the 3 buttons. Alright, now we are going to paint the base of the snow globe, so you can do it whatever color you want. Again, I was just going off of the reference picture, which to me looked black. If you want, you can paint it a dark red, like a burgundy, paint it purple, you can paint it brown, like wood. You can do whatever you want. And in between the holly berries, especially the leaves, there is plenty of room if you wanted to add like a quote or like a Merry Christmas or your last name, first name, year, whatever you want. I didn't put anything because that's not what the reference picture had, but feel free to be creative and add a little personal touch. Alright, we are so close to being done. So now we are going to do the leaves of the holly berries. So I'm going to mix in green with black to make a slightly darker olive green, and then do the same thing, doing green with a little bit of white and black just to make it 2 different greens. One is darker and one is lighter. And that's basically what I'm going to do. I'm just going to follow the lines that I did, and one of the leaves is going to be darker and one of the leaves is going to be lighter. You can make them the same colors if you want to. For these ones, I'm not outlining them with black or anything like that, so I just wanted to make sure that the shapes were clear, that they were two different leaves and not just blend together because they're the same color. So you can do whatever you want, but I'm just going to do that right now. One of my leaves on both sides is going to be darker than the other, so one dark and one light. Alright, now I'm going to go in with some red. I just poured out some new red because that one might have been dried by this point. And I'm just going to paint the 3 berries, so 3 little circles. And this might take you a couple of layers. I know that it did for me, just because the leaves I didn't paint inside the lines like I was supposed to, so things got a little out of place. So right now we are just going to do the berries, and once that dries, has to dry, once that dries, then we will move on to the outlines and the highlights of those berries. So now I am mixing a burgundy red, just a dark red. I mixed red with a little bit of black, and with my thin detail brush, same concept like how we did with the snowman, I'm just going to outline a portion of the berries. So just to differentiate that these are in fact 3 separate berries and not just one blob that looks like 3 circles put together. So I'm not connecting them completely and making a full circle. I'm just doing the edges on some of them. So I did like a little C right there, and then I'll do the other one, another little C, and then another little C. And then same thing with my thin detail brush, I'm going to dip in with some white and just do some highlights all facing the same direction. So like a little, kind of like a little apostrophe shape on all 3 of those berries. Now we are going to move on to the illusion that this is a snow globe, so the glass part. So I'm mixing in some blue with just a little bit of black just to give it a little bit of a dark blue for the edges of the glass part. And I'm gonna make sure that this is watered down as much as possible. So right here it was just a little too dark and a little too opaque. So I'm just basically going to follow this outline, and while it's still wet, I'm going to dip my brush into my water and just make it a little bit watery, a little bit transparent, because this is glass after all, and we're trying to make it look like glass and not just a thick outline. So right here, I'm just going to go around this same shape just a couple times, just kind of blending it in just a little bit. And one other detail, just to give the illusion that we are looking on glass, we are going to get down some very, very watery paint with pretty much a dry brush and just do a very light layer of white on there. You can kind of see it just because glass isn't completely clear. There you go, there you can see it. Just a little bit of white, And if you need to dry off your brush on the towel, feel free to do that. Right, and lastly for the snow globe, besides the highlights, we are finally going to outline our snow globe. So I'm not quite using black, I am using just a very, very dark blue, so blue mixed with black. So now I am just going to outline our circle. Okay, and now the very last thing for the glass of the snow globe is to add highlights. So with my medium flat brush on that flat part, I'm just going to make these curved rectangles, these long brush strokes, and that is going to be the glare of the glass. So I'm going to make them as solid, as opaque as possible. 2 from the top left corner, 1 from the bottom left corner, and then 1 just on the right side. And then lastly, very lastly, we are going to do the snow. So with the end of one of my brushes, I'm just going to randomly put little dots everywhere for snow falling in the background. And then I'm going to do the same thing inside my snow globe. But inside snow globes, there's a lot of snow falling. So I didn't want it to quite blend in with the background that we have going on. I want to make more little dots. So there's just a lot more in there. So after we do these little dots, then we will do the stars. So don't forget to have it falling on top of the trees, on top of the snow, some parts on the snowman, just wherever you feel like putting snow, because snow globes, we shake it and it goes everywhere. very last detail we're doing, in the top right-hand corner, I'm just going to do a star. You don't have to do this part if you don't want to, just going off of the reference picture. So first I am going to do a plus sign, and then in between those spaces, I'm going to do an X. So the star has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points. And the same inside the snow globe as well. And that is it, my friends. Good job if you made it this far and completed the painting. I'm happy with my finished product, and I hope you are with yours too. If your painting looks different from mine, that is totally fine. As you know, I miss everyone, and I really wish I were with my Family Friday class painting alongside them. I'm also happy to know that more people have had the chance and opportunity to do art safely at home and on their own time. I hope these videos bring you joy and you were able to relax and not worry about the current events of the world, even just for a little bit. Please stay safe, have a great rest of your weekend, a happy holiday, and a happy new year. I'll see you next time.